Well, we're going to start off this new series with the tank tests since I don't have it. I've got other hulls, but I don't want to have another tank testing, three hulls and then wonder where they're ever going to come or get designed and put up for planned sales. So this will be the start. The very first thing we're going to do with the Nymph, and it's a new fly fishing boat, an 8-foot. Along the lines, it's a little brother to the fly caster, the 9-foot fly caster, and the 10-foot Hudson Springs pram. This one's 8-foot sheets of plywood, so it'll probably be about 710, 711, depending on how much curvature here takes up from the full length of the sheet. But it's got a big bottom on it. I was debating whether to go a full sheet wide at the beam, but I cut it back just so I can get it in, so you can make it a little easier to fit inside your pickup or whatever. I was measuring my little Toyota Tacoma, and 48 it would fit, but it'd be dragging around on the tailgate openings a little easier, make it a little easier to gouge, which I did on the nut hatch. Putting it back in, I took a big gouge right out of the gunnel. So we'll get onto this. I've got another model, plastic model, and I've got my two Bubbas, and I got my duckies already underwater. They are getting ready to check out the Jacques Cousteau side of the hull. So we'll set it in, and we'll come in for some close-ups now. Okay, we have the hull in the water with no weight, and this dark spot along in here is the part that's actually in the water, and the duck's checking it out now. Chuck, the Duckworks duck, he said he likes to have ducks visible, so we got a swimming duck checking out the underwater. So let's I got two Bubbas here. We'll stick, and these are about, I don't know, I think I've said before they're between 250 and 280 pounds. So we'll set one here about where the seat's going to go. I'm going to have the seat a little farther forward on this one to give you a little more, which is the beam is right in here. And the seat weight, I'm going to put it right in there. So you'll have all this distance for standing room. And you can see how much you went down. You still got the transom is out of the water, and the bow is just touching the water. If I move the seat back, I don't want to. That's why I'm going to keep the seat there. So when you're standing, we'll put Bubba back here in the back where he's standing for fishing, and so that's the bottom profile you're going to get with 280 pounds standing right about dead set right in here. Okay, and then just show you some extra capacity. Here's another Bubba. We'll stick him up here. Two Bubbas are gonna pretty much overpower the hull. There won't be enough room for them both. But that's with about 500 pounds, 500 to 600, somewhere around in there of weight. So I'm happy. And so here's the model. We got the PFD model that you can download from Duckworks. Chuck is just, does that read right? Yep. And Chuck should have that put up now. You know, it's been sitting there for a while. So, and I got my little Nymph on the side. Now we know the where I'm going to put the seat. I don't know if on this one, I think I did. Yes, I wrote on the hull. You can see I've got the marks which will be on the model. You line up these little arrows when you're taping it together, and the beam, the balance point as it exists is right here. It's just, you see that green? It says BP, that's the balance point. It's just forward of the beam area. So that's something I always want to shoot for too. And then this hull I will be building, as I said in the cover letter on the model, as a normal hull like the Flycaster or the HSP, since I've sold so many of those plans, and you really haven't, those plan holders really haven't had much of a how-to on these kind of fly fishing boats, and it's been my most popular plan set. So this one, pardon me, this one I'm going to build exactly like I would build the Flycaster and the HSP, because without a tape measure around, you won't know which one I'm building, because they're all pretty much, they look the same even though they measure out at different points differently. So I'm going to build it all the way through as just a straight fly fishing boat, and I might even flip it over and finish off the bottom, but I may not. I'm going to go probably with the interior. I may flip it over and do the seams on the outside, but I don't think so. I'm probably going to finish off the complete interior seams and glassing, and then I'm going to change up and do something completely different, as Monty Python would say, and I'm going to make this hull a little bit different than all my other ones. I'm getting tired of lifting these rascals into the truck, putting them on wheels and dragging them down to the water and then slide them in. So we're going to do something trick, whether you'd want to do it or not, but I think once you see me putting this thing in my truck, you will want to do it too. So let me go inside and I'll lay out the plywood, and I'm probably going to get some plywood laid out before I finish this video here. So we'll get that started. We'll go inside now. I wanted to give you a little bit of a look at my my platform that I build. These are like 2x6 by 8 footers, and they're on little legs. I got some sawhorse brackets, and I think we're about 32 inches off the floor. And then I show you plans for this in all my drawings. And then these are separate, so I can slide them out. I'm building a longer boat and screw down the other end into that little cross beam. So it's pretty handy. So let's go ahead and get some plywood and put on it. Now that we got all the tank testing out of the way and we're inside, and I've got my plywood out of my rack that I had, and I thought I had 2 sheets of 6mm, but I had 1 sheet of 6 and 1 of 4 and a half sheet of 6mm, and I was thinking, well, okay, I'm going to go down and get me another sheet of 6mm, and I got to thinking, no, this is going to be a lightweight boat, a lightweight fly fishing boat, and I was out pushing my thumbs in on the sides of the electric paddle that I made out of 4mm plywood, and it was resistant to thumb, and it was pretty stiff. So I figure, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go with 4mm on the sides and 6mm plywood, 1/4 inch on the ends and the bottom, and the sides are only going to be about 15 or so inches high. So it's not that far from the chine fillets and all that glass tape down there acting as like a giant angle iron. And then the top will have the spaced rail system that I use all the time now, so it'll be fairly stiff also. So I got my plans, I printed out just what I need. This is basically this one page here, and then the transom pieces, but this one piece here is basically all I build a boat from. But on this design, I must be up into the low 30s now on pages, design pages. On 8.5 by 11 on this one, I was able to get the 8-foot boat on an 8.5 by 11. I had been using a lot of legal 14-inch long paper. But it's still up to some 30-some plus pages. I've been drawing a lot more details and things, so I don't know why. It's not like I've sold any plans in the last 6 months. How many? 0. So maybe this one will pick up sales and keep me interested. So let me set up and I'll show you what I'm going to get ready to do here on the plywood. I got some pre things to do, and then I'm probably going to close this video out with some prep. I'm going to do that, and then when we come back in, we'll start cutting up the sheets into pieces. It's Thanksgiving now, and it's a little cool, and I have some other things I want to do, so maybe a couple weeks before the next video gets posted, how much work I get done, I don't know. I've got some yard work I'm doing now too, so let me reset up and I'll show you what I got here. I'm going to work on the bottom sheet right now, and I got a full sheet of cardboard underneath to protect it from the workbench. So on the bottom hole we're going to mark off 24 inches, and this is European, so it's wider than 24, so I'll give it mark it in both directions. So it's this plywood is 48 and is that an 1/8 inch wide, so I'll have some excess. So I'll probably just go ahead and measure the 24 I need from this side and disregard that one. It'll be a little wider on the other side. And I'll do the same thing here. And I'll give myself some. I've got my 24 inches from the side to the middle here. I've got my straight edge up, lined up on the marks that I previously made. I had one error here because I was measuring the edge of the cardboard. Okay, the bottom sheet is marked. This one we will mark the 1-inch grids, but I'll do that later. Right now I'm going to get the 4-inch. It needs to be cut, and I want to leave these sheets in flat. We're going to be using the 2 factory edges along here as the markings. And so we're going to measure off these guys 19 inches. And like I said, be sure you got the right edge here. Give yourself enough marks that when you bring in your straight edge, you'll be accurate. What we're doing now is cutting out the blanks for the side panels. And the arc will fit in those. And I have you lay out one on top of the other, so that they'll be symmetrical when you lay them out with the grid, but we'll come to that later. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the other one here, and then we'll come back for a closeout. It's back together again. Restacked everything, got the weights back on so that the plywood doesn't take any kind of curl. I may get out some small clamps and clamp around the edges. This one doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem. Sometimes if it's humid out, your plywood can take on some curls, and just kind of want to lift, especially the thinner 4mm. So I'll clamp it down, all the sheets together so that it doesn't curl, and then put some weight on it. Got the plans here I'll start on. Got my duck in the model, give me inspiration. So We'll be back to start cutting this thing out on the next episode. Well, actually, we'll start out by laying out all the grids and getting the pieces, but we'll cut this top 4mm into the 2 sheets, and then I'll double stack them and then get them lined up for marking for the station grid lines, and then for the whole outline itself. So the plywood for the bow and transom I'm not going to do until I get the boat wired up, and then I see what the exact size is going to be. Sometimes there's a little bit of variability in that. So, and I emphasize that in the plans, is to cut the transom and the bow panels out after you have the hull wired up to measure your real world edges. So it's usually been pretty close in the plans, but sometimes, you know, 1/8 of an inch here and there. So we'll see you next time, and have a happy Thanksgiving.